Hey everybody, and welcome to Fine Art Review. And today we are going to look at a painting together, a landscape painting in particular, and really just talk about it, I guess. So yeah, let's take a look. Here we have it. Here is a painting of Isaac Lavitan, the Russian painter. He didn't really name his landscapes, so this says mood landscape. I'm not sure what the name of the painting is. If anybody knows the name, please let me know. I haven't seen this painting in real life. I haven't seen it at all. I think I found it on Tretyakov's gallery page, and well, first off, I have to say I'm in a period of being really interested in Russian landscape painters. We're gonna have a look at one of the most famous painters of all time, Russian he was, and lived at the turn of the century, around late 1800s, early 1900s, Isaac Lavitan. And well, let's just start off with this painting. Let's get into it, I guess. What to say? I mean, I love this painting. This painting is cool as hell. I mean, Lavitan has a style that is quick and fast, something that really speaks to me personally. Maybe it's not for everybody, but I mean, it just looking at it, immediately I can see that it's a Lavitan painting because of the style it's painted in. And something I really enjoy with his paintings is that sense of atmosphere and presence in there. It is always like a step into reality, not like if it was a photo or super highly detailed, but the main idea of this is reality is right there, and it's most of the times, if not always, spot on. Starting off with the composition, I really enjoy the composition. I mean, to me it's not maybe perfect. You never get 100% perfect compositions in the landscape, but then again, who am I to judge an Isaac Lavitan painting, really? He was far more experienced than I was. By the looks of it, he placed the horizon line close to the center, and he has some lines here that I'm not 100% sure of. They sort of do, like, maybe that design actually helps of the brushstrokes here, but if you follow these lines, you end up at the cabin and you can exit it, but there's some not ideal lines working in our favor here. But then again, compositionally with these shapes right here, the dark shapes in the foreground, I think it's genius that this is actually not as dark in value as this, and actually like blending in with the rest of the painting, especially because it's close to the edge. It leaves us with these three sticking out quite a bit, and that really helps. An odd number really helps us to look for more, so to speak. Seeing these three seeing these three dark value shapes here automatically forces us to enter into the painting towards the cabin. And the cabin as well is very highly contrasted. Probably one of the most, the biggest contrast are those three spots plus the cabin against the woods. So we are automatically going to get to that cabin no matter how we do it. These lines will help with that. And something that's really interesting in the color composition here is you have a, let's say, brown or orange types of shapes. Here you have this line directly pointing towards the cabin, and then you have this sort of, maybe actually it's, yeah, it fits quite perfectly into this and shape up as a a rectangle. They sort of mirror each other, these ones. And this is orange, and as well as this is brown, you have these lines that are brown. They surround this cabin, which has a lot of blue in it. If we look closely here, you can see it's so blue, it's kind of crazy. You know, it's just pure blue in there, some Prussian blue or something. Yeah, I think so. And because the blue and the orange are complementary colors, this cabin right here also gets a lot of attention because of the orange. If we were to take away these, probably that cabin will melt into the surroundings, its surroundings, more and stick out less. So it's a really clever decision. Most likely with intention, but sometimes you're also just lucky enough to stumble on those things and realize them halfway through the painting or even years after. But because it's Lavitan, I'd say this is on purpose. He has some amazing ideas for his landscape paintings. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. It's cool. Like, so, this is something as well. Something that's really nice with this, in my opinion, is that Lavitan has a way of not being too crazy about edge variation. Academically speaking, we are always like encouraged to pursue more variety in our edge works, like softer edges and sharper edges and everything in between, which is something that you see a lot of people using when it comes to trees versus sky. So where the trees overlap the sky, people will use this concept of edge variation. But if you look here, well, you can spot out that Lavitan maybe has two. Yeah, two, I'd say. And the variation isn't in really the edge, is rather in the brush strokes. So if we're looking at this, it seems, well, this is painted quite thinly, so probably this isn't an alla prima painting. It's probably done in several sessions. The sky first, and after the sky was dry, he did a wash of this reddish green for the, I don't know, could it be probably spruce? Is it called spruce? I'm not sure. The pine trees, not the Christmas one, the other type of pine trees, the pinos in Espanol. But the idea is that he has a thin brushstroke here to describe that on top of this, and the rest is a sharp, highly contrasted drawing type of technique of abstractions of these Christmas trees or pine trees that are the dark ones. And you have something with a maybe more destroyed brush coming in here and over here, and at the tiny birch trees sticking out, a rather worn down brush, which is nice. It's very effective because you do need a lot of different textures when it comes to trees. And using different brushwork techniques will ultimately get you that, I suppose. But something that's really interesting is that a lot of people also, when they create these type of edge works or edge varieties, they tend to paint with a negative. So they'll do the sky and go on top of the trees. And if you're looking at this painting along the tree line, you don't really see it there. I can debate that maybe it's happening here because this part doesn't look like a brush stroke, as same as this edge is really sharp, and to me it looks like well, he's reading and writing from left to right, so a lot of these brushstrokes are from left to right. Most of them, which is creating this type of sharp edge on the left, right? You don't really have as much sharp edges on the right with that inclination. You don't really have it anywhere. So I'm assuming this is painted over with the sky color on top in order to shape out the contour of the trees right there, the abstract contour of it. It also seems to be that the white is quite more greenish than the other, so probably that's what happens. Same goes here, but it's more blue. But you can see that this type of edge right there seems quite the pigment of the blue seems watered out almost because of the white mixing into it while it's wet. So that's really fascinating because he creates this type of variation without a tool that we today use quite intensely, which is painting with a negative, and consciously soften and sharpen edges with a lot of variety, of course. It's really fascinating. Something that's also interesting with Lavitan is this foreground here is really nice. Obviously it's not super detailed, even though this painting seems to be quite big. I'm thinking it seems quite big because of the brush strokes, mainly in the house. Oh, here you have a good example of him painting with negative. Yeah, so this is probably the shadow, paint application wise, a shadow here first. Those logs or whatever might be added. No, actually this siding here painted first with the shadow after that. Most likely the shadow here, then the roof, and the negative painted, so the background, the green grass or mossy hill or whatever in the forest there is probably painted after, at the very end, in order to really shape out the drawing of the roof right there. That's very cool. This is probably, yeah, and this is on top, definitely. So I don't know, maybe he has like a couple of sessions in this painting because of the approach or the style. Everything in here suggests that it could be alla prima painted, but what happens here on top of the sky is quite heavy, these are quite thin, it doesn't seem to work with me, so it couldn't be alla prima, I guess. The same here, you clearly have dry brushed layers in here. It seems like, at least. I'm not too familiar with that technique, so I'm not gonna guarantee anything like that. I'm merely speculating in this video and talking about what I like and assuming what Lavitan did, just analyzing his process a little bit, I guess. But to get back to the foreground here, it's nice because here you can see there's such a variation in grays. You have a lot of variations in the greens, you have a lot of variations in the greens, which is important for a landscape obviously, and you have it in the greys as well. You have these type of brown beige light grays, the darker brown beige and the more yellow one. This is, oh, so this is painted, yeah, oh yeah, this is painted on wood for sure. So you have the wood coming through here as well, and you have these more bluish grays, the more pink grays. Here you have like pure blue almost. It's mixing in some greens in there as well, because obviously you need a little bit of grass in there. But yeah, a lot of variations in the grays. And something that I really like about this foreground here is, to me it seems clear that Lavitan, as I think most landscape painters, was a little bit too lazy in order to shape out all the rocks by drawing them, obviously, and also that wasn't his approach in painting many times, I guess. Most of the times I'm even quite sure. So it has some sort of systemic process like dig, 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 which tends to be dangerous. A lot of people would end up literally dotting thousands of rocks into this foreground if there was that many rocks there, and he sort of avoided that because it will first of all take a lot of attention, create a lot of noise. That close to the edge, it's not necessary. You ultimately want to focus on the cabin here, so you're gonna exclude that. Look at this, whatever that is even, it's barely sketched out. Same here. Most of your information, the sharpest edges, the tiniest details are in here, and where the Christmas trees are as well, I guess. And the tree trunks. And that's also something, looking at these tree trunks, those brush strokes seems very, very tiny and small, and I don't think that's because he had really small brushes, it's rather because the painting is fairly big. Probably bigger than a, well, maybe a 40, 60 something centimeters. But that would be cool. It would be amazing to see this painting in real life, actually. Yeah, and look at this. These type of brush strokes, really, really small. So here he actually used quite a small brush probably as well. And maybe some painting with the negative. This definitely looks like an Aprima approach to it. Thin and then going over with the sky and being kind of lazy about it. But then again, this isn't where the focus is, so he gets away with that completely. But yeah, I think that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one.